Hello, here I am. It's time for our little afternoon visit for our historic Hunkered Down, Home Alone Together, Happy Holidays. I am so glad that you joined me. I can't even tell you how it really helps me get through being alone and being, like by myself during the holidays and then that after the holiday, post-holiday blues and then the challenging things we have going on in our world right now. Of course, we're still dealing with the COVID thing, which is why we're hunkered down home alone together. And then we've got the political stuff and the Georgia runoff that's happening today. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to taint our time with that if I don't have to. Besides, I go into that in my daily video on my book, Rise of the False God. So I'll save it up for there. For now, I just want to kick back with you and enjoy this afternoon. Got my tea in my cup that says crabby till I get my coffee, but the tea works for me. I have my one day every morning. I have my cup of coffee, and it's a pretty good sized cup, I gotta say. But it's just that one cup, and this is my hibiscus tea, which I drink that helps with my blood pressure. Of course, with you know what that we're not talking about today. I need to drink twice as much to get through the day and keep my blood pressure in check. Ah, the first time I had it, I remembered that it was not like this. This is interesting. I don't particularly love it, but it did the job. And after a while, you really do acquire a taste for it. So if you are not on medication, for blood pressure and your blood pressure is running up a little higher than normal. Of course, you always want to check it out with your doctor, but also if you check your blood pressure at home, um, use an arm, a really good one. Spend your money on getting a decent blood pressure machine. And if you see you're going a little high, get yourself some hibiscus tea and see if that makes a difference for you. Well, today, let's look at our National Day calendar for today. And I actually kept it up because some of the notes were a little bit more in depth than I could just pop off. So it is National Bird Day. And it says nature lovers, and bird watchers across the country annually recognize the National Bird Day on January 5th. And it emphasizes the importance of National Bird Day and lists it as a day to shine a spotlight on the issues critical to the protection and survival of our birds, both captive and wild. I got two things to say about that. I hope I remember what they are. But for right now, it says you can utilize this day to do a little bird watching, study birds, look up birds online, tell other people about how important birds are. And if we could get out, we could go to an aviary. Isn't that what they call where they have birds? All right, so we got National Bird Day down. It's also National Whipped Cream Day. Well, I don't have any of that because I'm what? Hunkered down home alone. But I do want to tell you if you're not familiar about making using whipped cream to make icebox cake. Now you can go to the store, and I believe it's Nabisco makes their icebox cookies, and they're very thin. They're round, and they're very thin. You have to be very careful with them. That's why I don't order them from Peapod because I don't want to get cookie crumbs by the time my package gets here. But all you do is you make whipped cream, make it a little on the stiff side, and you take the cookie, Spread a cookie with some whipped cream and put it down, and then do another one and put it on top and another. So you do these little stacks of, oh, I don't know, um, 5 or 6 cookies with the whipped cream in between. Now, I'm very generous with the whipped cream that I put between the cookies because as you let it sit, which is what you have to do, you let it sit and it soaks all together and it turns those cookies into cake. It does. So after you get all your little stacks together, you flip them on their sides so the cookies are vertical, and you kind of squish them together on a platter, and then cover the whole thing with whipped cream. How much whipped cream do you need? Well, I use a pint. You can use just the little 8-ounce container. If you do, you have to skimp a little bit. Who wants to skimp on whipped cream? I mean, it's not like we have it every day. Well, I don't. So when I make that icebox cake, I go all out and slather that whipped cream all over. Oh, and you can decorate it with some shaved chocolate or crushed nuts or both. Put little cherries on the top. Let me tell you something. That is one heck of a beautiful dessert. And then, so after you put it all together, you put it in the fridge, and it has to be there for at least 6 hours for it to do its magic. You can also put it in the freezer, and, one day you want an impressive little dessert, whip it out. One day we'll be able to have company again. All right. So, what else we have here? Let me see if I can get this to work. Um, National Keto Day. It's about the keto diet. And they have a lot of information here on, you can go to hashtag National Day Calendar and find all the information on it. It's a very meat intense diet or protein intense diet. So I don't use it because I'm a vegetarian. And besides, to me, diet is not like um, a verb. It's a noun. It's the way you choose to eat. It's also National Screenwriters Day. Now, I think that's wonderful because we enjoy so many movies and television programs, and all of those have screenwriters. That's what it took to get if it's somebody wrote the story, and then a screenwriter takes it and turns it into a script. Now, you'll notice that the screenwriter has to bring this book to life. But you ever notice if you read the book and then watch the movie, you go, wait a minute, that's not the same. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes not so much. But it's like the recording, the unabridged recording of the book, The Help, is like 15 hours long. So you can't go to a 15-hour movie, but pictures, what a picture's worth 1,000 words. So when they're showing the movie, they can reduce it. Some things have to go, other things are expanded on. Sometimes they add a character that wasn't even in the book. So you have to be kind of loose and understanding, and don't expect every book that you read that's turned into a movie to actually be exactly like it. You have to see them as apples and oranges, or maybe as apple pie and applesauce, things that are the similar but not the same. And then there are the people who sit down and write. They write, movies, and so I think that's pretty interesting. So we celebrate them today because I am a fan of movies. And I know I told you that I have been enjoying time with my daughter in the evenings watching, we do watch parties with movies. And she picks some and I pick some. And it's a great way to be together when we're thousands of miles apart. So it works for me. Speaking of watching things on TV, I have discovered something amazing. Now, I did not even believe it would work when I first used it, but it's on YouTube, and it's called Cat TV, and it is videos that are made to entertain cats. Honestly, I'm telling you something, I wouldn't have believed it was possible, but I tried it, and my cat, now there have been times when there'll be a cat on TV or something, and I'll say, Tishy, Tishy, look, kitty, kitty, look, kitty, kitty. And she has absolutely no interest. So I put on this cat TV, and then I sat down and just, I was reading, I was doing my prayer time, and I look up, the cat was watching that TV. They have all different kinds. They have some with little mice and squirrels. She particularly likes the squirrels and the mice. And I would say if she had to pick between squirrels and mice, she would probably pick squirrels. There's also ones that have cat games, and ones that have, they don't have one of those little, like you have the string with the little fiddly on the end, and it'll just be the little fiddly going, and the cat's like, and she's too far away to be actually pawing at it, but she does like it. Now, the other thing that it kind of like, it was sad for me. It was a fish bowl. It was like a common, the fish bowls that you typically get for home, not an aquarium, a bowl, and it had like nine little fish in it, all different colors and stuff. And that just bothers me because can you imagine literally having to live in a fish bowl? You can't hardly go anywhere. And so I didn't much like that. But Tish likes it. And when they have bigger ones that are like aquariums, and she likes to watch those. So if you have a cat, try Cat TV. And I would love to know how it works for you, because it works for me and it works for Tish for sure. All righty. So that was my little bit of goodies, and we're coming to the end of this holiday season, and when we come to the end of one thing, we go into another, and that is coming into a new year and what we want to happen in this new year. And will it happen? How many times have we been disappointed in the past where we had all these plans that didn't happen? Well, of course, all my travel plans were blown last year. I have got my hopes up that I will be able to get my vaccinations soon, and then I will feel a little bit more free. And the first thing I'm going to do is go somewhere, because it is hard. And again, that's one of the reasons I'm so blessed to have this time with you, because even just preparing for it, it's like having company. So I get ready to be with you, and then we're together. And it's so important. Reach out to people, call your friends, come get together with me in the afternoons. I just really thank you for being here. So let's talk about how we're getting ready to put away Christmas and get ready for the new year. By the way, tomorrow I'm going to start putting away Christmas, and I want to share some tips with you about how I do it. I mean, you may not think it's all that different, but I know other people don't do it the same way I do. So, but so we're going to talk a little bit about putting away Christmas, and what that's going to be like, what goes away, what stays out, stuff like that. So we also want to put away the year with our things like bills, make sure all our bills are caught up at the end of the year, and get ready for tax time. I do the simplest kind of taxes I can, because I do not like to have to do all that receipt stuff and everything. Now, a lot of people, and I did this for a lot of years, I tried everything to squeeze every possible a deduction that I could get the biggest return that I ever had. And, in the end, I found out for me, it just doesn't make that bit of difference. I suppose if you have a lot of accounts and a lot of stuff, but if you don't have to, don't go nuts. And don't think like you've got to squeeze the damn orange so tight that you get all that oil, that bitter oil from the from the fruit into your lemonade. Oh, I did that before. That happens when you get too cheap. I took lemons, I cut them in half, and I squeezed them way too hard, and the bitter oil from the lemon peel got into the lemonade and made the lemonade bitter. Not recommended. Okay. So, but it's back to the taxes. This is what the unity philosophy is, which is metaphysics. So it's unity, but it's not unity because metaphysics are universal principles. Okay. We just get involved in circulating. We receive with joy and thanksgiving, and freely we receive and freely we give. It is, gosh, I have come so far in my consciousness from the days when I was always fearful and paying my bills late. I told you the other day, I think, about when I was expecting my twins and had another small baby, and we would get calls from bill collectors, and I have to go throw up because I was so stressed out. But I've come a long way from there. I live very simply, and I don't I don't think a lot about it. I try to be prudent and I try to be generous, and I know that my source is God. My source is spiritual principle. And because everything in the universe is energy, as freely as I give, freely I receive. I do not give because the universe says if I give, if I cast my bread upon the water, it'll be returned a hundredfold. So I take my last piece of bread and I throw it out on the water and say, okay, God, I'm ready. Bring the rest of that bread back. It's not about that. It's about praising, blessing, and thanks for what we have, sharing it, and letting it go. The universe will supply. God is our source. So, how did we get there? I don't know how I do these little meanders, but it was back to the taxes and stuff. Don't paying taxes is paying our fair share. I mean, that's just it. We're sharing the planet. We're sharing the roads. We're sharing the fire department and the police department. And we're sharing the community buildings. And we're sharing the tax collector and we're sharing the town clerk. And it's all ours to share. And that's why we pay taxes. We pay taxes to cover our expenses as a part of a greater whole. And the more we penny pinch instead of giving freely, the more we're going to feel a sense of lack and limitation. I pray you will be free of that. I pray you will be released from the thought that who you are has anything to do with how much money or how little money you have in your bank account. So don't fret and squeak and pinch those taxes. Do your work, do it as simply as you can, and trust God to do the rest. Just remember, you cheat on the taxes, God knows, and the universe will claim its own and then some if we intentionally do something that is not uh, doing right. Let's see. Cheryl says, um, I receive so much more when I freely give of myself or my money. And that is absolutely true. Um, but okay, this is a little thing. And we always want to remember that we be good givers, that we give, but we don't give to our own detriment, because then we will establish a consciousness of poor, of being poor, because we never have, because we gave it all away. But that, first of all, it's not going to happen anyway, because God blesses us. But we also have to be good receivers. I'm a better giver than receiver, but I'm learning, and I'm learning that, God's going to bless me with good things and with everything I need. And so be generous in your giving, be gracious in your receiving. Don't say to someone, "Oh, you shouldn't have." Oh, you should have. Oh, you should have. Thank you, thank you. Um, I know we want to remain humble, but we can use gratitude. Thank you so much. That was so wonderful and thoughtful, and but don't make like you're not worth it, because you are. And here's another thing. Somebody tries to give you a gift, don't say, "Oh, no, no, I couldn't accept that. I couldn't accept that." Because if you block someone wants to give you something, if you don't receive it, they can't give it. So it is more blessed to give than receive. But what happens if you're trying to give and the person says, "Oh, no, 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 I couldn't possibly take that"? Receive it with joy. And if it's something you really don't like, regift it. Regifting is not a bad thing. It is a spiritual principle of circulation. I'm doing that, man. I've started going into my closet again and pulling out those things I really don't wear, because there's no sense in letting them take up room and clutter my mind. Everything you let go of, you feel better and better. I'm going to I found a video the other day that I watched, and I want to share some of the tips I picked up on that. It was about decluttering and minimalizing, so that we learn to be happy without this pressure of having too much stuff or any clutter. Clutter really brings me down. And I was kind of raised as a very cluttery person. My mother didn't like that I was that way, but I was very cluttery. Oh my God, you climb through my closet. Um, and when if my mom said my grandmother was coming over, I would take everything that could go under the bed, and we had nice long skirts on our beds, so nobody knew what was under there. So yeah, you want to remember to get rid of clutter. But so the one tip I learned from that I can share with you today is that you should always spend a few minutes every day surface cleaning, surface clearing. It's like, where you keep putting down the papers, or you just don't know what to do with it. Put it down, put it away, like before you go to bed, just like that clean sink rule. You know how I've got a clean sink rule? Do not go to bed with dishes in the sink. It's the same thing. If you declutter your surfaces, even one surface, if you can't do a bunch of surfaces, do one. Generally it takes about a minute and a half to clear a surface, put things back where they belong, and you're good to go. Okay, I just got rid of 6,000 emails. And I probably got rid of some stuff that I will be looking for one day. But you know what? When you get 6,000 emails in your email box, that is too much. And so as I got rid of them, I literally emptied it. And as I start getting new emails, I just get rid of them right away, unless I have to save it. If I save it, I put it in a file. And I'm stunned with how much comes in. At the same time, with each one that comes in, if I, you wind up on all these lists. So I go in and I unsubscribe and unsubscribe. And, I feel bad unsubscribing, because, it might be, oh, I'm going to hurt their feelings. We have the campground newsletter, and we get a report on unsubscribes. And And, hey, if you're not interested in camping at the campground, well, that's fine. But I got to tell you, sometimes they pop off, and I work so hard on the campground newsletter to make it really nice and fun for people. And when they unsubscribe, it's like, what I do wrong? So I'm decluttering electronically and I'm decluttering physically in the house. And when we get all that stuff away, we get a chance to look at ourselves. And where are we in our life? And where do we want to be? So I have a little tool for you today, and it is called a life satisfaction wheel. There we go. I'm going to put a link to this in the comments so you'll be able to have it. And what it is this wheel is broken up into 8 parts. And if you couldn't read it, it is fun and recreation, career, health, personal growth, romance or significant other. I guess cats are allowed. Friends and family, money, and your physical environment. You know what I just said about clutter brings me down? So what you do with this is if the center of this little wedge, this little pie piece, if the center is 0 and the outer edge is 100%, if you take, and you can have fun. Nobody ever said that grown-ups can't use crayons. So you can use crayons or, markers or whatever you want to use. But what you do is from the point out, the point, if the center is 0 and the outside is 100%, you would fill in, let's say, what is this? Let's say this is money. So let's do green. So if we would take a green crayon, you can use a pencil, you can use a pen, you don't have to color it in, you can draw a line. This is a tool. You use the tool as it works for you. So you figure, like, let's go back to money. So am I happy with my money? Now, this doesn't mean you have to have $1 million. What do you need to be content? What if you had how much could you be content? As little as necessary and as much as possible, as little as possible and as much as necessary. Yeah, as little as possible and as much as necessary, because if you're content with what you have, you're not worried about how much you have. You're not worried about anybody stealing it. You're not worried about keeping up with anybody. You are that you are. So if you were 50% satisfied with your financial situation, in other words, if you got a lot of bills, doesn't matter how much you're gonna got coming in. If you got a lot of bills, you bring that down closer to the 0 mark. So you fill in as far as you would show your satisfaction. Then pick another color for another section, or just use a pen and color it in. The colors just kind of help you to get a better visual. The better our visual is, the better our manifestation is. So as you go around, you'll see your line is, you're like at 100% or almost 100%. If you're 100% at everything, I don't know why you're still here. Probably to help other people. But you will see the areas of your life that you want to work on. Are you taking good care of your health? Are there things you could do to make your health better? Um, Fun and recreation. Okay, so we're shut in. Are you still having fun and recreation? You can. And I hope the videos we've been doing give you ideas on just how to do that. So, this is also, if you do get my Metamusing, which I finally put one out today. As a matter of fact, it should have been delivered while we were doing this. I got away from it when I got so involved in my hunkered down a home alone, my metaphysics thing that was earlier, my rise of the false god. So finally, I'm getting back to my mundane mystic things that I do. So, but I will put a link to that, and so you can open it up and hopefully you can print it. And our time for today is done. Can you believe it? Well, so tomorrow we'll have a little visit, and I will give you some tips about how I do my Christmas taking down Christmas. It's not that exciting and it's not that much, and I'm not going to do all of it while we're talking. I'm just going to show you some tips. So, you have a bright, beautiful, better than average day. Thank you for popping in and making my day. And remember what I said about giving and receiving? I pray that you will receive everything that I have to give. And I joyfully receive your being with me. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow.